Welcome and good evening. This is my presentation for public health policy change that I would like to help push. This is an overview. The information in this presentation is provided for educational purposes only. It's about proposed public health policy, the health issue, the impacts of proposed public health policy, voting behavior for proposed public health policy. Now, the reason I have selected the following health issue is because after going through various research information, I was actually surprised myself about the effects that it has on our different parts of our community, especially those of the elderly and postmenopausal women. But like they said, it's never too late to learn new information. So I want to share this information. And yes, some of you may be aware of the health change, and some may not. So I'm here to share it with you. Thank you. The health issue I will be speaking of is excessive amounts of calcium. It affects the elderly and postmenopausal women. The impact of this health issue is the excessive amount of calcium that is consumed by our communities. The health issue needs to be addressed because an excessive amount of calcium can lead to chronic diseases. And I myself was surprised about that because I thought there were other things in our body that did cause chronic diseases, not an overabundance of calcium. The proposed public health policy, it will help anyone who may consume an overabundance of calcium. This policy will address as a whole other supplements that help in keeping healthy bones, as stated by Dr. Thomas Levy in publication dated in 2013. Also, according to Dr. Thomas Levy, yes, we do need calcium, but if it's in your body rather than just your bones, your arteries, for example, can become calcified if too much calcium is present and can cause cardiovascular issues. The more calcium levels increase inside cells, the worse the oxidative stress becomes, and the worse the underlying disease becomes, since all chronic degenerative diseases eventually kill. Anything that aggravates the disease process ultimately hastens the arrival of death. Supplements and change, the difference it can make. Supplements such as vitamin C, and according to a study that was completed by the International Journal of Pharmaceutical Research and Allied Science, showed that patients that had vitamin C in their diets reduced their blood pressure of those diagnosed with hypertension. Also, a publication published by the American Diabetes Association showed a higher number of bone calcification can cause mortality, or a person may become morbid. The change will make the general community aware of other choices they may have in keeping their bones and bodies healthy. That's why I'm recommending this health change policy to the legislators so that everyone in our community, regardless of its being the elderly or postmenopausal women, the community needs to know now so they're aware of the changes they can make to their body. And man, the impacts of proposed public health policy. There's so many impacts that can occur to someone's body by not helping them make that change. And I think it's important that we try to help bring that change along. The cost is minimal because it would just be more for advertising to make our community aware of what their choices are. The risk of not enacting the policy would be more chronic diseases developing in our community. It will help people live healthier and longer lifespans by sharing the information to our community. And that's why I'm insisting and I'm reiterating the importance of making our community aware of what their choice is. Let them make that choice. But if they don't know what their body is doing with those supplements, then we're not really giving them that option. And I think they should be given that choice and the option of making whatever changes they want to with their body. Voting behavior for public health policy. Through proper research, I'm sure most politicians would agree. The important message that the legislators need to hear is that our communities are going to be healthy because there'll be less death casualties by making the general community aware. The legislators voting for this policy would agree to the change because the policy would save thousands of dollars in medical costs for those that would have suffered with chronic illnesses. The policy itself would sell itself because of the health costs that it would save across the board. Now you tell me why we wouldn't be pushing this health policy change. I think it's important that we educate our communities, maybe help push the information and knowledge to our children in the public health school system, in a health class, even throughout the public high schools. That way, more people can make changes and the community should be aware of what their different choices are. They should not be ripped away of their information. And the reason I have chosen this subject is because I my major is alternative medicine and complementary health, and it's to help push along the holistic health way for anyone in the community, and that's why I chose this topic. And I just believe that everyone should be given that choice and knowledge of knowing what their various options are. At this time, I would like to thank you for your time, for listening to my presentation. I hope it's what you're looking for. It's just a touchy subject, especially having a mom that's 76 years old, and you always hear the doctor pushing and pushing her because I go to some of her doctor's appointments about her calcium intake. Make sure you're taking your calcium. And I'm sure that's what most elderly people go through on a day to day basis at doctor's appointments. And I just think that doctors should help push more of the holistic way by including vitamin C, which help heals their bones, and even vitamin D, but as a separate supplement instead of the calcium and vitamin D, so that it's evenly distributed throughout their bodies. Thank you again for your time. And if there are any questions from the panel, I would gladly answer them at this moment. Thank you.